speak on the Livestock Management Amendment Animal Activism Bill 2021. And I do so because this is a very important bill for many reasons. Agriculture is an incredibly important part of my electorate of South West Coast, and when the incident occurred in Gippsland on the Gippy goat farm that culminated really the activities that have been going on for too long, where people who think they understand farming and claim that it's violating or it's destroying or it's harming animals are so out of line that this resulted in the court case where somebody had gone onto a farm, activists had gone onto a farm, had invaded people's home, a person's home where they farm and live, and had actually received the penalty of $1. Now, I think that is the most insulting act for the farmers to read about when they expect the law to look after them. Now, farming is well regulated, and anybody who has any animal cruelty conviction or action feels and should feel the full force of the law. So having the farmers see that activists have a very different law to their actions of a criminal offence and end up with a fine of $1 with no criminal record when you're a farmer, and rightfully so, if you are not looking after your animals properly under the law, you actually get so severe penalties you often can't actually have anything to do with animals for several years, and that's absolutely as it should be. So there was such double standards. So this bill, whilst it has come 2 years after this incident, and it took the opposition to actually call out the minister late last year saying, where is this very important legislation that was recommended at the inquiry? And it was no surprises that after us shaming them, they actually put something on the table. Now, in my view, this bill doesn't go far enough, and I hope that the amendment that the member for Murray Plains has put forward, which actually makes the penalty units double their current ones proposed, so that the natural person who is convicted and is actually given a penalty that really will make people think about doing this. I mean, to have a $1 fine was no deterrent. This has to have a deterrent that actually makes people not want to do it. There's several people being funded to do these things by people who don't understand, who think farming is raping and pillaging the landscape and destroying the animal welfare, destroying animals' welfare. And it's just so not true. And I'm sure the Greens, who will get up soon and speak and say, they're against this bill, because I heard them say that in the government business program. I looked at the member for Brunswick, and I really admire his brain. He comes from a medical background, and I really think it's great to hear him speak on medical issues. But when I hear him speak on environmental issues, I'm absolutely mortified that his lack of understanding. So I'm not being disrespectful to him. I'm just saying, please have a think and look at what really goes on. And I extend an invitation to the member for Brunswick, the member for Melbourne and the member for Paran to come out. I happily will respectfully show you around some farms and meet the people. They are the hardest working, I think, profession that I've ever seen. And, I've nursed and I've farmed and I've done a few other things, not too much more, but, I really do think these hard-working people who want to look after their animals and protect them and care for them. I mean, I farmed for 20-something years. I never ever thought of it as my workplace. I thought of it as my home. My kids, we all had our animals, our pets, our environments that, the kids would get up and go and feed the calves before school if need be. If someone wasn't able to come to work and we needed to all pull together, there was never a thought that you wouldn't actually look after the animals. If things were really tough financially, the animals came first. I used to say I'd spend more on the animals than I did on my children. And that was actually a true statement, because, you really had to look after them to the best of the animal's ability, or they wouldn't actually perform and be happy and So I really struggle when people don't understand just how much work and effort we put into making sure everything is going well, and even research and in environmental management. So I really do put out an invitation that let me show you. And I don't like to just refer to the economic impact, but I will quote from the Councillor Mead, who was the Moyne Shire Mayor when the inquiry took place, and he said, at the animal inquiry, the agriculture is vital to our country's food production, a huge role in the economy and a major employer for the Moyne Shire. This is the Shire in my electorate of South West Coast. The annual output from the agricultural sector in Moyne is alone 618 million, and the sector supports nearly 3,500 full-time jobs. Threats to the sustainability and security of this sector cannot be tolerated, and voluntary acts that create such threats should be penalised strongly under the law. So, I just continually am shocked at how people don't understand the food and fibre sector. It provides us with our nutrition. It provides us with food, it provides us with the clothes we wear, it provides us with the shelter, the timber that builds our homes, and this building itself with the timber around. So, can you imagine if we stopped farming? Because that's what these ideological people think we should do. If we stop farming, well, who would manage the landscape? We've been on this planet as humans for a very long time, and you can't actually just get rid of animals and farm only plants, because I don't know if you've been to Scotland, but you can't really plant on the moors, and I don't know if you've been to South West Coast to the volcanic country, but you can't grow crops on the stony country areas, but you can grow cattle and you can produce milk, and we do need a balance of the ecosystem, and this provides it as long as we're doing it and researching and continually managing the environment. We've actually got 7% of the Earth's crust left to be able to farm on. We've got an increasing population of that by the time we get to 2050, we will struggle to have enough supply to meet the demand. So what we should be doing is supporting farmers who provide the actual sustenance that you need. We've got so far away from the understanding of that in Western society that sometimes I think it's good to just reflect on the challenge that's in front of us, and we should be, particularly in Australia where we have, and particularly in Victoria, where we have beautiful countryside, we should be respecting that and doing everything we can. So on that note, I would like to thank all the farmers, particularly in South West Coast, who work so very hard every day and take that responsibility so very seriously. I'd also like to thank the people who stood up in the inquiry from my part of the world. Ian Smith, Jim Dukas, Daniel Mead, Georgina Gubbins, Lisa Dwyer, Chris O'Keefe, Bernie Free and Una Kilpatrick. And I'd also like to mention Natalie Collard, who heads up the Food and Fibre Council, who struggles to get the funds that she needs to do the job that they are trying to do, which is get people to get that understanding of how we should be growing agriculture, not harbouring its ability, but harnessing the opportunity. So, I do endorse this piece of legislation, but it doesn't go far enough, and we do need real penalty points that will deter people from breaking the law. It makes no sense that people who break the law are rewarded with a $1 fine, but it should be double the penalty points it currently is now. And it makes no sense that there's no criminal record. So yet, that's completely different for other people who break the law. And let's remember, activists going onto people's homes, into their environments where they live, where their children play, is an illegal activity. It should never, ever be endorsed or rewarded, and it makes me angry and amazed that the Western Victorian member for in the Upper House, Andy Medic, the Animal Justice Party representative, cannot understand that in his electorate we rely on farming and we work hard to be good farmers. So how can he actually be the representative who is against farming and encouraging animal activists? These animal activists risk biosecurity, they risk people having safe workplaces. This is not acceptable in today's world. It is not acceptable in any workplace, let alone any home. So let's apply the same standard. And my offer does go again to the Greens to come out to the farm. I will happily show you around. Our farmers deserve the respect that they haven't been given. We should be absolutely thanking them for the work they do, Not too many of us will get up at 2 o'clock tonight and go and check the cows that are calving. Not too many of us will get back up again at 6 a.m. and go and get the cows and feed the calves and make sure they've got the immunoglobulin they need, but they do, the farmers do.